But you know what me and her decided today that really what happened there is she knew from that moment on that she was going to make it. And she knew that there would be another sale and another check, and she didn't quit. And so the biggest lesson I can give for everybody on this call, whether you're super successful or just starting out or anywhere in between, is your mindset is everything. And you really have to believe that those transactions are going to be there, because this is not a business that pays you up front. This is a business that sometimes doesn't pay you until the end of the first year. From this week, you want to share anything good happened to you guys? I just talked a little bit about my 75 hard challenge.
3 leads at the lenders.
Nice. 3 leads.
Looking for some pre-qualifies to come from that, but yeah, turn qualifies into the next step.
Killer. Where'd those come from?
Our website mostly. Nice. Some advertising.
So 3 internet leads sent over to the lender to get pre-qualified.
Yeah.
Awesome. Congrats. Anybody else have a win they want to share? No. Jamie, did you get, if you can unmute, did you get linked up with a coach or mentor? Okay.
I did. Thank you.
Okay, good. So Jamie's handled. Awesome. All right, let's open it up. What do you guys want to talk about? What questions do you have? What do you want to make sure we cover or go over? Otherwise, I'm going to tell you a couple cool things and I'm going to make it light today. So you get exactly as much as you ask for. And let's not put this all on Vicky. She's a nice girl. We had a good chat, but like maybe somebody else wants to throw something out too. Just me and Vicky. Oh, maybe Blair will rescue you. Let's all act like we were, oh my gosh, now Blair's here. Gosh, we have to stop talking about her. Oh, and Paula. Now I can't talk about Paula either. Oh, man.
Go ahead.
I'm just kidding. What's up, Paula?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. I have a question for you, Paula.
Shoot.
Do you know why we're meeting next week?
Because I asked, are you talking about Bobby and them?
Yeah.
Because I asked him, have you talked to Jon and Mayur? And then he was like, no, I haven't. I need to go to the office. So I said, let's go. And that's when I texted Bobby. Justin. Go ahead.
No, because he hit us up. Like, Justin's like, hey, Bobby and Paula are coming in. I'm like, why? And he's like, I don't know. I'm like, I hope it's not bad.
No.
So
we just miss you guys.
Well, good. We miss you. We're excited to have you come in. So that's awesome. And that was a good idea. Way to whip him into shape, dude. Bobby's been like, I mean, he travels more than Pitbull. Like, I know he thinks he's the Indian Pitbull, but like that guy is on a plane every other day.
That's true.
Right?
I'm gonna tell him that.
Tell him to get back in America and come to work. Blair, welcome to the club. What's going on? What's new with you?
I'm gonna take my exam next month. May 29th. I'm gonna drive to Sacramento. That's the earliest I can get.
You gotta drive. You're gonna, they make airplanes that fly up there too, right?
I don't know. Sometimes airplanes is very constrictive, like, with all the rules and everything. And I don't know. I don't really like to fly right now. So.
You know what's constrictive? Sitting in a car for 12 hours. That's constrictive.
It's not 12 hours if you don't go. Yeah, I'm gonna drive there. I think it's 6 to 7 hours if you don't go during the rush time.
If you do a 75 hard, you will have to stop to pee like 100 times. Trust me. It'll take 12 hours for sure. All right, cool. Well, that's exciting. I'm glad you're gonna take your test. Hey, Mark, joining us from the home inspection, or no, somewhere else now? You look like you're in a Spaces.
Nope. As I expressed to you, I have not eaten at all today, so I am stopping for some food, but I wanted to be here with you guys.
Nice. Well, any wins from this week you want to share with everybody? Anything amazing happen?
I restarted 75 hard.
How many times have you started?
I've only restarted once, so I started it and then I got interrupted. Now I'm restarting it.
When did you restart?
Monday, so this week.
So you're in with us.
I'm
Day
in,
3.
totally in.
Okay, so if anybody wants to join, 75 Hard is an app. You get the app. It's like $4. Download it. It has you do activities every day. The goal is not to gain weight or lose weight or get hydrated or any of that nonsense. The goal is to do what you said you would do. It's a mental goal. So you commit to doing these like 5 activities, and you have to do them every day, no matter what, whether you feel good or not. And it just makes you a stronger, tougher, more amazing person. So if anybody wants to do it, download the app. Me and Mark are already doing it. It's amazing. Literally the hardest part is scheduling your bathroom visits. I can't tell you how many times I've been like doing something and be like, hold on one second. Because
I will say this is going to be interesting and how we all fit this in while we're in Scottsdale.
A gallon of water is no joke, man. That's like 4 of those, Blair. You gotta drink 4 of those per day.
Oh, really? 4
Yeah.
of this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, get drinking, girl. And on that note, I would say that's a great segue into something that we can talk about before I open it back up to questions, which is just mindset, right? I had lunch with a really productive agent. She's been farming for, I don't know, the last 20 years. She does like 40 or 50 deals a year. And her first deal was a buyer. It was $160,000. They bought a $160,000 house. And by the time the check was gone, right? The check came in and the broker took half and she got half less the fees and all that stuff. So by the time she got her first check from selling a house ever 20 years ago, it was like $1,500. But, right, it wasn't a lot of money. She was a single mom at the time. She was camping in her apartment. She'd just gotten a divorce. She had no money. She had a young son. And she told her son, hey, we're camping for a little while. We're going to pretend that we're camping. And so she's camping in her apartment with no furniture, literally like in a tent, sleeping on the floor. And she closes her first deal and it's like $3,000 and the broker takes half and she's left with $1,500. But you know what? Me and her decided today that really what happened there is she knew from that moment on that she was going to make it. And she knew that there would be another sale and another check, and she didn't quit. And so the biggest lesson I can give for everybody on this call, whether you're super successful or just starting out or anywhere in between, is your mindset is everything. And you really have to believe that those transactions are going to be there, because this is not a business that pays you up front. This is a business that sometimes doesn't pay you until the end of the first year. And that's the same thing, Paolo, with building a revenue share organization. Mark, right? If you guys are interested in revenue share, sales, any business that you're starting, they're all the same. And it's very rare that you start a business and you start to turn a profit within the first year. And yet everybody gets into real estate expecting that they're going to turn a profit in their first year. And that's because real estate is one of the few businesses where you actually can. You can go out and get licensed, right? You can drive to Sacramento, you can get licensed, you can spend $3,000 on startup costs. You can spend another couple thousand, getting ready to take the test and all that stuff. And you can be all in for like $5,000. You can close your first house and make a $10,000 check. You can take that $5,000 and use it to pay your rent. You can sell your next house, make another $10,000 check, and you can start to reinvest small pieces of that into your business. At the end of the year, if you sell 2 or 3 houses, 10,000 each, you could end up with a $10,000 or $15,000 profit. And if you spin that into the next year and you keep reinvesting, you can be profitable from day one in real estate. And there's almost no business in the world where you can do that. So it's a luxury that we have, but it's also one of our biggest traps. And the reason it's one of our biggest traps is we generally come to real estate unprepared. We don't have a budget. We don't have capital, right? We don't have money to invest in the business. We don't have a schedule. We don't treat it like a business, right? There's all these things that get in the way of our success when we start, because we think we have this luxury of just being able to go in and sell a house and make money instantly. And it's just going to be like anything. And like the number one reason I hear people say they got into real estate is because they like houses. And while I love that, that is the dumbest thing I can think of, because that has nothing to do with success in real estate is liking houses. Real estate, you should get into real estate because you love helping people. If you get into real estate because you love helping people and you recognize the financial importance and significance of investing in real estate over the course of someone's life, that's a great reason to get into real estate. That's going to keep you successful through and through. getting into real estate because you like houses and whatever. So it all comes back to mindset, right? And expectations. And if you treat this like a job, right? You treat this like a career, you treat this like a business, and you invest in it, and you put time in it, and you put brackets around it. You know what brackets are? Brackets are your schedule. If you set it up with a schedule that you follow and you actually do the basics day in and day out, you will be successful. So I'm going to say one more thing, and then I'm going to open it up, questions, turn it over to Mark, whatever we want to do. The last thing I will say is this on kind of mindset and positioning your business. If you can just get to a point, right, where you focus on one thing for a protracted period of time, you'll be successful. Paula, I'm sure you'll know the answer to this, but if I had to give you a prescription, if you wanted to double your business or add 20% more sales to your business or do anything, right? What one thing would I tell you to focus on that would improve your business more than anything else?
Consistency.
Good. Yes, Blair. Consistency. Paula, do you have a guess on what I would tell you, what my prescription would be?
Lead gen and lead
Lead
follow-up.
generation. Lead generation. That's it, right? And when I say lead generation, most people are like, door knocking, open houses, da, da, da. And yes, of course, I want you to do all that stuff. But the first part of lead generation is talking to the people you already know who like you. And every single agent, from Mark to Paula to Blair to the top producers I have on my team, every single one from bottom to top, they all have the same problem. They all refuse to call their freaking database. Every single one of them. Because they don't want to bug them. And I don't know what to say. I don't want to sound salesy. Nonsense, right? And yet, if every single person in this organization, we have 200 agents that work with us. If every single one of those 200 agents just spent an hour a day calling 5 people they know with a good idea, hey, I just saw this property. It's in Garden Grove. It would make an amazing Airbnb. Who do you know who wants an investment property? Hey, I just saw this 2-bedroom condo. Come on. It is the best starter home in Orange County. Who do you know who wants to buy a first home? Who's paying too much in rent? If you just made these types of very easy calls, right? Not like yes, you should call your database and reconnect and reestablish and be on the phone for 10 minutes and invite them to coffee and lunch and all that stuff. But if you just did purposeful calls, find one property, call 5 people, and be enthusiastic, right? Hey, thanks for taking my call. I know you're at work. I'm at work too, super busy. I'm just going to keep you on for 1 minute because I'm calling everyone I know today to see who wants to buy this property in Garden Grove. It has a backyard that would make Disneyland blush. And I got to tell you, it is going to make the best Airbnb. I think you're going to get like 600 a night for it. 100% you want to take a look at this. Do you want me to email it over to you, or who do you know that's investing in real estate this year? If you come to the call with that kind of energy and preparation, and you're excited about an opportunity, people are going to get excited with you. You know, I went to lunch today with a recruit for our organization. She does 50 sales a year. Literally, I barely talked about EXP. She told me that the number one thing that she's most excited about joining our company and coming to work with us is just straight up my enthusiasm. She was like, I haven't been around anyone this excited in over a year. I just want to be around whatever the frick you're putting in your coffee. That's literally all it took. So sometimes your mindset and your enthusiasm and the way you show up is all it takes to get the deal done. Definitely aren't getting a lot of deals done when you make your calls like this. Hey, yeah, I had a big lunch. What's up? I'm kind of tired. You want to talk about real estate? No? You see the Knicks? Knicks look good, huh? That's not getting you freaking anywhere. Don't even make those calls. Just hang up the phone, right? Call people with some enthusiasm and a good idea, and you'll go really far. And start with lead generation, like Paula said. All right, that's my rant for the day. Who has a question? Who wants to add on that? What do you guys think? Nobody. Cool. What do you want to talk about then?
Hang on. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can tell.
Sorry, I'm eating. You don't want to see me eating. That's why my camera's not on. But all of you guys on this call, you're relatively new. You're all brand new, whatever it is. When you don't come to this call with any sort of question, in whether it's what John just talked about, what I talked about, you're missing out on an opportunity, right? There's an opportunity here to tap into the knowledge base of people who are actually on the ground doing this work and have been for several years. You're not talking to some stodgy old man that's sitting at a desk that's his job is to recruit and blah, 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 right? You're here talking to people who are actually on the ground doing this. So if you're too afraid to ask the question, you're doing yourself a disservice. There is no dumb question. We are here to answer your questions. John is a plethora of information. That's the reason why he does these calls, and I'm glad that he's invited me to jump on as well. But do not sit there with no questions. You all are new. You have a ton of questions. Ask them. You're missing out on an opportunity. So right now, somebody ask the question. I'm gonna go off camera again. Sorry.
Go. Now's your
Hey
chance.
John. Hey John, this is Sahesh Paul, right?
What's up,
Hey,
man?
quick. Yeah, all right, man. How are you doing?
Excellent. So good to see you. Or not
Nice to see
good
you.
to hear you.
Hey, quick question. Like you mentioned, you have to call your leads and everything.
Yeah.
But what happens if you call every other week? They get pissed off and they block you. You know, sometimes.
Did they block you?
No. If they,
Oh, they didn't block you. So you're saying hypothetically, what happens if they do block you?
Yeah. So means they get tired of listening every time that you know having a lead and all those things.
Hypothetically speaking, they won't block you.
Okay.
So Sahaj, has anybody ever called you and said, "Hey, man, I have a hot stock tip. I want you to invest in this company"?
And nobody called me.
Nobody ever gave you that call. Yeah, exactly.
No.
Nobody ever called me either. But guess what? If somebody had called me a year ago and said, "Hey, John, I got a great stock tip for you. You should take every penny you have and throw it in EXP." And I had bought it when it was $7 and then it went up to $90. You think I would call that person and be like, "Block, I'm not talking to you. You're a shithead." No, the only reason they're going to block you is if you're a horrible person and you don't come from contribution and you call them up every week and you're like, "Hey, man, I know we talked last week. Where's my freaking referral? I thought you were going to support my business. In fact, I'll give you a real life example." Do you guys like real life examples instead of just fake stories that I tell? I'm going to give you a real life example. So yesterday, actually not yesterday, last week, I spoke at a convention in Las Vegas. I was speaking in front of 250 people, hosted an after party for about 100 real estate agents in my suite. I was a little busy. One of our preferred lenders called me and was like, "Hey, what's up, man?" And I couldn't answer. So they went to voicemail. And then they texted me and they keep following up. So like, whatever, okay, but I'm busy, right? Well, I finally texted and was like, "Hey, man, I'll call you on Monday when I'm back in town." So I called him on Monday. I was like, "Hey, what's up?" And he's like, "Yeah, we gotta get some more deals out of you guys." Excuse me? "Yeah, we got, we just can't." "Okay, well, did you call any of our agents? We sent you our agent roster. Did you call any of our agents?" "No, man, like, where's the business? Why aren't you sending people to me?" "So you didn't call our agents. Did you take anyone to lunch?" "No." "So you did no prospecting, no lead generation, nothing. And yet you are upset that I'm not going out of my way. Like, you're the lender. It's your job to build relationships and lead generate for your own business. I gave you an opportunity, right? The same way that I wouldn't ask you as the lender to go door knock for me or to call my database or any of those things. Same thing happened today. Literally today, another vendor, same exact call. "We've been working with you guys for like a month. We haven't gotten any deals." Well, I gave you access to 200 agents and you haven't produced anything out of that. That's on you, homeboy. And so the truth of the matter is, right, don't come to your people, right? Sahaj, if you're calling your people, this is the same exact scenario. Don't go to your referral partners in your database with your hand out being like, "Where's my referral?" Because that's bullshit. Go to them with great ideas, incentivize them, add value to their life. Every time they see your number come across this little box, every time they see your number pop up, they should think they won a freaking prize. They should be like, "Oh my gosh, John's calling. This is the best day of my life. He probably has something great for me. He's either going to invite me to an Angels game or, offer to do family portraits in the park for free, or tell me my house just went up in value $100,000, or tell me about the best investment property he knows in Orange County." Like, literally, if those aren't the reactions when they see your number pop up, you're doing it wrong. Helpful?
Got it. One more thing.
I'll add one thing and then I'll let you go there.
Sure.
You are making up stories in your head that do not serve you.
Got it.
Everyone on this call, not just in real estate, all the time. When you walk away from someone and then you start to think, oh, they're probably thinking this about me, or oh, they thought that or said that, or oh, I don't want to call them because they might this or that. All the shit that you spend 99% of your brain power doing, you spend making up stories that are not true, that relate either to the past or to the future. Rarely do people spend time focused in the present moment. The past cannot be changed. The future isn't here yet. The only power you have is to make a decision right now. You can make the decision to ask a question. You can make a decision to implement or take some notes. You can make a decision to get off this call and call your fucking database, right? These are the choices you have. You cannot control whether someone will or will not block you tomorrow or next week or in 6 months for some random ass reason, right? All right, rant over.
Well, the thing is, the way we grew up, the way the society made us to grow in this society that caused that kind of, block you from these things. And you are the one who's breaking the ice. That's the reason I understanding how you're trying to break the ice. That's important. Well, the second question I have is, when you're a new agent, like I haven't even given the exam. My exam may be due in the first week of June. So first time you don't want to invest it. You want to get the lead, you find a house and at least you make a money, then you start investing. Is that the right way, or just start with, like you mentioned, your beginning expense is like a $3,000, you have to start with that? How you prefer that way?
That's a really good question. So to paraphrase, what do you do when you start? Do you advocate spending money or making money first and then spending the money you make and reinvesting that into real estate? I think it really depends on where you're coming from. So if you're 22 years old and you just graduated college and you live with your parents and you don't have any money, I'd probably just put sweat equity into it and make some money and start to reinvest that into the business. If you had a 20-year career in sales in the auto industry and you want to get into real estate and you have a 401k and a bunch of money in the bank, then you'd be stupid not to put money towards your business, right? Like, you wouldn't go open a dry cleaners and not do advertising. You wouldn't open a dry cleaners and not go get a physical office or a storefront. Like, you have to think. So it really is completely relative to your budget. If you have a budget, then talk to me and talk to Mark and talk to other smart people like Dan and Kyle on the Monday call and everything else, and figure out how to invest that money wisely. Because you can take say you start with a $50,000 budget for your first year in real estate because you have a nest egg. You can take that $50,000 and flush it down the drain really fast. You can start doing farming that's not going to pay off. You can do grocery card ads that aren't going to pay off. You can do all this stuff that's not going to pay off. And I know it's not going to pay off because I did it and it doesn't pay off. Or you can invest it very strategically and very smart and actually get ROI on it within 12 to 18 months and then go from there. So I don't know. Does that help answer your question?
Got it, man. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Tell me your budget. I'll tell you what to do with it. Is kind of the answer I have. And look, it's easier. It's faster, right? People always say, like, when should I hire a TC? As soon as humanly possible.
What's
like, I would advocate hiring a TC on your first transaction and forever. And
what's
maybe
a TC?
A transaction coordinator. So maybe your transaction coordinator walks you through the paperwork for the first 3 files so you know what you're doing. Because I do advocate, like, you do need to know the paperwork and you shouldn't just have someone else do it forever and never learn it. But you shouldn't be the one in charge of it because it's transactional paperwork. It's not your focus. You're the surgeon. The surgeon holds the scalpel, right? The surgeon doesn't hold the clipboard. At all times, you need to think about, is this a task where I'm holding a clipboard or is this a task where I'm holding a scalpel? If you're holding a scalpel, you're in the right seat. If you're holding a clipboard, you're in the wrong seat. You're in the temporary seat that you want to get out of. Mark, you want to add anything to that?
The only thing I was going to add to that, I mean, I definitely agree 100%. The only thing I would change with what Jon said is just because we have certain systems that we're using, and like, I'm doing my first transaction at EXP. I've been here like a month or two, and I'm doing my first transaction. I'm doing it myself without a TC because I've never used Sky Slope before. So I want to know how to use Sky Slope so that if I were to bring on my own TC, I can maybe give them a tutorial on it because I've been through it, or find a TC that already knows it, which of course I have. But I wanted to make sure that I did my first transaction through the system 100% myself. Of course, I know the documents already, so that's not an issue. It's more along the lines of knowing the system. And so I'm going to do this one, and then from here on out, a TC will do my transactions. But that's just my alteration to what John said, is to know the systems you're using, and then be able to pass on some knowledge to somebody else, because at some point maybe that TC isn't available, or maybe that TC goes and works in-house for a company and you no longer have them, or you have them maybe on your team that you're paying specifically a certain amount per deal and they choose to leave, whatever. You're going to have to find somebody else. You have to walk them through the system. So knowing the system is going to be 100% key, just like KV Core or anything else. Knowing the tools that you have, I think, are very important, and then pass it on to somebody else.
Yeah, I would agree. You have to know the base components of everything, right? Like, it's sort of like reading the owner's manual when you buy a car. Like, most people don't do it, but if you do it, you actually learn some important stuff that you might need to know if your car ever breaks down on the side of the road. So it's not like I'm advocating not having knowledge. What I'm advocating is not being in charge. So like, if you're new, for instance, you can either try and figure out all the paperwork by yourself, or you can go to like the 3-hour contract class that they offer, or you can do a bunch of stuff, right? You can come to me and Mark or whatever, or you can hire a TC and say, hey, this is my first transaction. I want to learn. Will you walk me through it while you do it for me? And so your TC can be in charge, but they can educate you. Better to learn. They know it better than I do. So if you're going to learn from someone, go get the best of the best. If you want to learn to cook, go hire a professional home chef to come make meals in your kitchen and learn alongside them while they do it. There's a million ways where you can get an expert to show you what they're doing along the way, where you don't ever necessarily have to become the person, but at least you know how to, change the battery in the car if the battery dies, right? Like, and for that, you're going to need to bring people along for the ride, whether they be on your team or people you're introducing to EXP, or just because somebody gets sick or gets pregnant or whatever. So it never hurts to have that broad knowledge, but you want to be specialized because your time's better spent in another category. That also goes to hiring an assistant. So a lot of people are like, oh, how many transactions do I have to have before I hire an assistant? As many as it takes for you to afford an assistant. But an amazing assistant is going to be worth their weight in gold, and they are not an expense. Everybody looks at hiring their first assistant as an expense. They are not an expense. They are an investment. That's like marketing. You would never spend 20 grand on marketing and be like, well, I'm out 20 grand. I can't do it. No, you invest 20,000 in marketing to get 60,000 back, right? You want a 3-time return. You want a 3-time multiple on any dollars that are going out. It's the exact same thing with an assistant. If you hire an assistant for 40 grand, your business better go up 120 grand to compensate. If it doesn't, it means you hired the wrong assistant, or you did a shitty job of training them or whatever, right? Next question.
Thanks, Jon.
You're welcome. Thanks for asking. And I agree with Mark, right? Guys, like, this is your time. Like, I could be doing anything, and I'm happy to wrap it up if you guys don't have questions. But
Hi, Jon. I have a question.
Sure. What's up?
Hi, my name is Lisa. I'm good. Thank you. I'm newbie here. I'm studying to get my real estate license. And I have a question from newbie perspective. So what's the best source do you recommend to start preparing pitches in order to make cold phone calls, or like to get prepared to come with that positive attitude no matter what happens on the other line?
Scripts and role play. So there's a lot. Yeah, I'm going to kick it over to you, Mark. There's a lot of scripts and role play opportunities in real estate. There's some within our EXP group. There's ones we can get you on a call. I mean, shit, you can go join the Century 21 call every morning. There's a million scripts and role play calls. There's some really good Facebook groups. My friend runs an amazing group, and he's doing some boot camp stuff. So I can get you that info. But Mark, why don't you answer from there?
Yeah, my comment was going to be, and I know I shared this with you a couple weeks ago, haven't kicked it off yet, but you know, everybody on this call will definitely be like the infancy of this new role play call that we can institute. I've done it before when I had my own brokerage. Now we can do it again here in this group, and of course expand it. I know there are others. I have been on those calls recently, and I haven't seen very many people show up. Number one, and number two, they're doing it wrong. I'm just going to give you the real deal with it. They're just doing it wrong. And I'll tell you how to do it right. Not right now, but we will talk about how to do it right. But if everybody on this call, as a show of hands, would you be on a role play call 8:30 a.m. every single day? Would you do that? Is there anybody that would not work for, and you just absolutely cannot do it, won't do it?
Okay. Well, what time? East Coast, West Coast?
8:30 a.m. West Coast.
Right. 11:30.
Question is how long that call is going to take.
It generally take, role playing generally takes 15, 20 minutes, maybe 30 at the most. If we do multiple, say a couple different people go back and forth, it's not going to be something that everybody can do every single day, because it's going to be a group thing. However, I do recommend you find role play partners and role play separately, individually, but as a group. We can't have 15 people role playing. That would take hours. So
Okay.
It would literally be a few people a couple times going back and forth. That generally should take about 15, 20 minutes.
Mark, will you put your contact info in the chat right now for them to reach out to you so we can set up that? And we'll email the details out of this as well. But I would love to get that set up and going as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Additionally, on that note, I'll tell you what I did. So 2 things. Number 1, you can go on, reach out to me. I'm happy to send you some scripts. You can go on Google. You can look up best real estate scripts. You'll find Mike Ferry, Tom Ferry, Tinkerbell, and every other Ferry's scripts, but it doesn't really matter. Everybody has the same scripts. They're all more or less the same, whether you talk to FSBO or Expired or Sphere or whatever. And you can learn to write your own scripts, and maybe Mark will eventually get into some of that stuff about how you craft a script and the different pieces that need to go in there. But the reality is get one script, whatever that is. And then, like he said, get a script partner and call each other every morning. So my script partner is a guy named Mayur. He was based in Idaho. And every morning we would talk at 8 o'clock Pacific for 10 minutes. And he would call me, and this is what it would look like. Hey, John, how's it going? It's Morgan. Hey, Morgan, what's up, man? How's your day? Good, man. You ready to get to it? Yep. All right, go. Ring, ring. Hello. Hey, John, this is Morgan calling from the Morgan Real Estate team. How you doing? Hey, I'm doing good. Yeah, I noticed your property is listed as a for sale by owner, and I was curious, when would be a good time for me to stop by to preview that property for my buyers? Oh, Morgan, we're not working with a real estate agent. We're just trying to do a for sale by owner. I don't think it would be appropriate for you to stop by. Well, John, my job is to know all the inventory, not just the properties listed in the MLS. Are you doing any open houses? Well, Morgan, yeah, we are doing an open house this weekend from 12 to 2. Be okay if you stop by to that, I guess. Well, you know what? Here's the deal, John. I don't want to bug you during your open house. I'm sure you're going to be really busy with a lot of visitors. Would it be okay if I came by at 11:30 before the open house? I promise I won't stay long. Yeah, Morgan, that would be fine. I'd be okay with that. Awesome. Thanks so much. Literally, that was it. Then he would say, okay, great. Thanks so much. Now you do yours. Hey, Morgan, this is John calling. How you doing? Doing great. Hey, just calling because I haven't talked to you in a little while. I want to see how your family's doing. How are the kids? Oh, the kids are awesome. Da, da, da. Awesome. How are things at work, man? You just got that new promotion. How's the job going? Oh, it's going really, really good. Cool. Hey, just curious. You guys got any fun trips planned this summer? Just want to update, see what's going on. I'd love to take a trip myself. What are you guys up to? Oh, we're going to Hawaii. Oh, cool. Where are you going? Oh, we're going back to Maui. Da, da, da. Right? Click. So mine was a relationship sphere building script, right? I would have been like, hey, we're hosting an Angels baseball night. Do you and the family want to come? It's our next client appreciation event. We'd love to have you there. So mine were all sphere of influence based referral scripts, and his were all for sale by owner scripts, because he really focused on for sale by owners. And I have never called a for sale by owner in my entire life, but I was on the other side of for sale by owner practice every single day. So I could call any for sale by owner in America right now and be as good as anyone is with that call, because I've done it so many freaking times on the other side of the call. Does that make sense? And that's quick.
Yes, that's great.
Literally.
Thank you.
Boom, 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 hang up, do it. And if you just do it every day, over and over and over and over and over again, you become amazing at it. And the last thing I'll leave you with, scripts are not meant, like scripts are written in a way where they're to influence people, and there's all these benefits of using scripts. But the number one reason to use a script is so that you can listen. If you know what you're going to say and you know what they're going to say, you can listen to hear exactly what they say so that you know what to say next. If you don't know your scripts, then you're going to be worried about what you're going to say and you're not going to hear what they say. Jaime, what's up, man? You're on mute.
Sorry, one last thing before Jaime jumps on the role play thing. If you email me, let me just say, when you email me, because I put my email address in the chat, I'm going to send you two things. I'm going to send you scripts, and I'm going to send you a document that details how to role play properly. Because some of you like to probably read things versus John just telling you how to role play properly. So I'm going to send you both of those things. So you must email me, put role play in the subject line so I know who's coming through, and then you will get 100% information on when we're doing the role play. John's going to get that information and send it out to you as well. But send me an email with the subject line role play. I'm going to send you scripts. I'm going to send you a document on how to role play properly. Okay.
Hey, Mark, I just send you the email with the script and the subject in a role play.
Great.
I did too, Mark.
Mark, what do you want to bet me that somebody asked me in about a week that was on this call, where do I get the info for the role play group? And I say, did you email Mark? And they say, no, I didn't email Mark. And I'm like, were you on the call? And they're like, yeah, I was on the call. It's just totally gonna happen.
I can't take that bet because no, I would lose too much.
So just know that if you reach out to me in a week and you ask me about the role play group, I am going to mock you endlessly. No dumb questions, but we will torture you. So please just email Mark. It's mark@buildrealestategroup.com, and then he'll give you everything you need, and then you don't have to ask and be made to feel dumb. So that's good. All right.
Hey,
Next
John,
question.
sorry for I keep bugging you. I have one more question. So since I'm new in this industry, second question from newbie side, how to get a good contact for loan officer? For example, I'm stepping in, I'm there, and my clients, they're asking me for, okay, how they can get the approval letter. So I need to have some kind of referral to the loan officer. So what would be the best way to have references and that relationships?
I just put my number in the chat. Text me. I'll introduce you to 2 or 3 lenders, and you can meet with them, and that'll be it.
What area are you in?
California, Irvine, Orange County.
I guess.
Yeah. So we have a bunch of local lenders we work with that we would love for you to reach out to. They'll help you build your business. Like any vendor that you're going to partner with, what I recommend at the beginning of your relation or your career, but at any given time, you need to assemble your whole team. So whether you have a team or not, you have a team. And your team includes me, and it includes Mark, and it includes Paula, and it includes Dan Beer and Kyle Whistle in San Diego, and it includes your title officer, and it includes your title rep, and it includes your lender, and it includes your handyman, and it includes all these people, right, that you should have supporting your business. And you, in turn, support their business. And so I would look for people that are willing to do some of the legwork when you're new. So when I was newer or building my business, when I left a partnership, when I was starting from scratch, like I had a title rep that would go door knocking with me every day. So if you know anything about title reps, you know that they're not allowed to spend any money on you. There's all these laws that restrict what they can and can't do monetarily, but they can invest their time. And so I knew that a lot more people would open the door if a pretty blonde girl was standing next to me. So I got a title rep who wasn't afraid to do the work, and she would door knock with me for 3 or 4 hours, a couple days a week. That helped a lot, right? It made me more accountable to go. More people open the door. She could talk me up and be like, oh my gosh, John is amazing. I'm just out here because I needed to get some exercise, but this guy is the best real estate agent ever. Like right? Find a lender who's willing to go to the buyer consultations with you, or get on a Zoom buyer consultation with you. Because when you're new, you can lean on the lender to answer questions that you don't have the answer to yet, right? A lot of times if they're in that initial consultation with you, same thing, they can prop you up. They can be like, oh, John's amazing. He'll take care of it. You're in great hands with him, da, 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 da. Like there's a lot of benefits to that. So your whole vendor team, like I know a real estate agent that just started a handyman business because the handyman business gets so many leads of people that need to sell their house or that end up selling their house because they're fixing it up to go to market, that he literally started the handyman business just to generate leads for his real estate business. Now, everybody on here is going to be like, well, I don't have the money to start a handyman business. Da, da, da. What do you mean? Well, it's the same idea. It's proof that the handyman is at the top of the funnel, right? If this is the funnel, the handyman's up here. Go call 10 handyman companies today and book appointments to have coffee with them next week. Ask them about their life. Ask them about their goals. Ask them the best way to refer them business. Get their business card and then make it a point to add value to them. Send the ones you like, pick 2 or 3, send the ones you like business. Write them a Yelp review. Do whatever you can do with sweat equity to help them. And then ask them for referrals. Because we've already proven that handymen are one of the first people that know when people are going to sell. I had a solar salesman knock on my door the other day. I had a baby in one arm, a phone in the other, and the solar guy knocks on my door. What do you think I did?
You didn't
Answer
answer
baby
the door.
door.
Hung up the phone and threw the kid.
Hey, this is me, okay? And they knocked on my door, my castle. They had the nerve to come to my castle and knock on my door while I had a baby and a phone. You know what I did? I put the fucking baby down. I told the person I would call them back. I hung up the phone and I went chasing down my driveway after this guy. He's like, whoa, what? Did I step on your flowers? What did I do? I said, no, you sell solar, right? He's like, yeah. I'm like, we need to talk. He's like, great. You want to get solar? I'm like, fuck no. He's like, why do we need to talk? I'm like, you're my man. I go, how would you like to make twice as much money this year? He's like, I would love to make twice as much money. I said, awesome. I'm going to pay you for every person who says no. What do you mean? What is the number one reason people tell you no? They're renters or they're going to move. I go, perfect. Every time you get that response, I want you to send me their address. Even better if you can send me their phone number. He's like, really? Why? I'm like, I want to sell their house. I said, and when the new buyer buys it, I'm going to introduce you to the new buyer so you can sell them solar. That is a win all day long. I just turned his no's into yeses. I gave him an additional stream of revenue. I picked up a referral partner that is out there knocking on more doors every day than I could ever knock myself. Free. Cost me nothing. All I had to do was put the baby down, hang the phone up, and capitalize on an opportunity that was literally in my front door. Could you guys call some solar salespeople? Right? So there's opportunity everywhere. There's plenty of business out there. You guys just aren't working. And
Just
I
go
don't
to
mean
Costco and you'll find them.
I don't mean that individually to any one of you. I mean real estate agents in general. I said the same message when I spoke in front of the 200 agents in Vegas. I said, you know, you're all sitting here bitching that you're not getting enough commissions, but you do nothing. You literally put a sign in the yard and wait for someone to call you. You aren't proactive. You're not prospecting. You don't door knock the neighbors. You don't do anything. You have no creative marketing campaign. You spend no money. Literally, you do nothing and then you expect to get a 6% commission? Like, if you want your commission, if you want to defend your commission, go earn it. Right? Put in a little extra. It's not going to hurt you, I promise.
So John, what's prospecting
What is prospecting? That's a great question.
versus farming? Like, I just don't know the differences.
Prospecting is lead generation of any kind, really. So
Okay.
prospecting is like, I'm looking for prospects to buy a house. So that could look like door knocking 10 doors to the left, 10 doors to the right, and 10 doors across the street from every new listing. And saying, hey, did you know your neighbor just listed for 750,000? Do you have a buyer? Da, 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 da. That could look like calling everyone in your database and saying, hey, I've got a hot property. Do you know anyone who wants to invest? That could look like inviting everybody to a baseball game. That could look like calling internet leads and following up and saying, hey, I know you inquired on our website a year ago, right, Mark? You ever done this call? Hey, I know you inquired on our website a month ago. I saw you just popped back on the website yesterday, and you were looking at 123 Main Street. You know, there's 2 other properties nearby that are very similar in features to that. Are there any questions I can answer for you, or would you like to go take a look at those? Right? Whatever it is, it's just engaging with people anywhere from a minimum of 5 to a maximum of 100 per day on a given day. So easiest way to think about this is to set like a daily target of how many conversations you're going to have that are going to be prospecting based. And I recommend a minimum of 5, and then you work your way up. So once you're doing 5, then do 10. Once you're doing 10, do 20. 20 is kind of like the number. But if you really want to give yourself a shot in the arm, once a week, do 100. And the reason that I advocate 100 once a week is because when you have to do 100, you can't think, you just act. Because you start to think about the first 10 or 20, and you're like, oh, I'll call that person. Oh, I'll call that person. Oh, I'll go knock this door. I'll knock that door. But about 11:30 noon, when you've only made 20 contacts, you realize that this is going to take until midnight if you keep thinking. So you stop thinking and you immediately just start contacting as many people as fast as humanly possible. You don't care what they say. You just want to contact them. Hey, how's it going? Great. Awesome. You want to buy a house? No? Okay, cool. Click next. Hey, you want to buy a house? Click next. And you're literally got 2 phones going. And the purpose is not that in that fury that you all of a sudden become magical. You're not. What it does is it kills your inhibitions. It makes you bulletproof. Once you are flying on 2 phones and you're just like, hey, you literally don't give a shit who you talk to or what you say. And then you're bulletproof and you can prospect forever. And 20 feels like a cakewalk because you just did 100. And I will tell you, I've done 100 multiple times in my life. It is a full day event and it is a pain in the ass, except one time I did 100 in 2 hours. And what I did is I went and got 10 boxes of donuts. We worked in a 12-story office building, and I got to work at 5:30 with 2 gigantic Cambro things of coffee and 10 boxes of donuts. And I set them inside our office in the lobby. And then me and 2 friends stood in the elevator in the lobby and said, hey, do you want to come in and get some free donuts? We're sponsoring a breakfast thing, whatever. And then each hour, because some people in the building started at 6, some people started at 7, some people started at 8, and some people started at 9. So every hour we had a fresh batch of people that would come in and talk to us and take our card. And we did a raffle. We raffled off an iPad and we got everybody's cards. And honestly, some of the best contacts I got out of that were not for like the CEOs or the VPs or any of that. It was the receptionists. The receptionists came and they gave their card because the receptionists are the gatekeepers and the receptionists know everything going on in any type of corporate environment. And so you really want to win over the gatekeepers. And so that's how I did 100 real estate conversation contacts in like 3 hours. And I was done with my whole workday before the first agent showed up to the office. And because I didn't want everybody to know my secret either, right? Like I didn't want everybody to start doing this, but I was farming, right? You can geographically farm. I was farming our office building.
Do we have time to hear how Mark and you, what your first deal looked like how it came together, and your experience was?
You go first.
Well, my first transaction, I'll say real transaction, because we always talk about starting with your friends and family. And so I did a family deal, 2 family deals, and a personal deal. Those are my first 3 transactions. I bought my own house, right? But my first real client that I procured on my own came back in the day of 2006 when you could still get business from Craigslist. And I'll never forget it. So I copied what someone else was doing. There's a guy in our local market named Andy Golfy, great guy, young guy, younger than me. So I just was perusing Craigslist, saw what he was doing. And what I was doing on Craigslist was posting, an entire paragraph description of properties, and I got 0 leads. What he was doing was taking the paragraph and bullet pointing out the most important things. So I learned how to bullet point on Craigslist. It's a little bit of like basic coding, but you can do it. And that was just basically it. So I would put some properties from our office. I worked at Coldwell Banker at the time. Put some properties that were agents in our office. Got permission from my manager to do it, and would just basically get leads. Never sold any of those properties, but procured buyers that way, and went out and showed them property, and got my first transaction that way. Those people actually became really close friends because they moved into the neighborhood that I lived in. I showed them a condo in my neighborhood, and I thought it was a great place to live, so they moved in there, and we became really good friends. That was my first real transaction.
Yeah, the modern version of that is utilizing that same strategy, but doing it on social media. So you can take that same bullet points, the same listings, and you can put them on LinkedIn, you can put them on Instagram, you can put them on Facebook, put them wherever you're going to be. So if you're a Facebooker, don't use Instagram. If you're an Instagrammer, don't use Facebook. If you're a Facebooker, don't use LinkedIn, right? Because you can never do multiple platforms. It's just not going to work. Like, you'll be more powerful if you pick one. But just take that same kind of content and put it where your audience is, which is going to be social media, not Craigslist, because you can't do that anymore. But things like Craigslist really work, right? And it did work at the time. And for my first transaction, so I sold a house to a friend, a colleague of my wife's actually. So that was a good one. It was a little tiny condo. It was my first listing. I got some buyers off of an open house twice that I sold houses. So I was working with a partner and I didn't really sell on my own. So I was just selling like ultra luxury $30 million houses. And then occasionally I would get my own little deal that I would do on my own. So like I got three buyers off of an open house, one friend and family deal. And then when I finally went out on my own, it was a mixture of everything. But I will tell you my best sources. So I worked my ass off. I figured if I was the first one in and the last person out and I worked harder than everybody else, I would be successful. And I will stand by this to this day that that's accurate. It's not fun, but if you are the first person in the office, the last person to leave, and you work harder than everyone else, you will automatically have an edge. I would door knock for 2 or 3 hours a day. I almost never got anything off of that, but it caused a lot of good things to happen in my life. So like I had to be prepared. So I had to know the market. I met a lot of people. So I didn't get any like direct deals off of it, but it led to other things over time, right? I did get a nice listing in the area that I was door knocking eventually. I picked a really bad area to do it. It had really low turnover, but it made me very confident. When you knock enough doors, you become really bulletproof to everything else. I called my entire sphere. I bought internet leads. I signed up for every free referral internet lead thing that I could. So if I could pay a 25% referral, like through OpCity or HomeLight or any of those companies, I would do the give me the lead and I'll pay you money back on the back end when I close it, 25%, 30%, whatever it was. Heck, we had Lead Router through Coldwell Banker at the time. I ended up having to pay like 50% of those fees back before I saw my portion, but I got some amazing, amazing clients from it. So, I just took whatever deals I could get. And then the last one that goes unused frequently is go hang around successful agents and eat their table scraps. In my second year on my own, I did 10 million. So I did about 4 million in production in my first year on my own. And then I did 10 million in my second year on my own. And of that 10 million, about 4 of it was other agents' deals that they let me have a piece of. So I would just hang around really busy, successful agents. Hey, is there anything I can do to help you out? Hey, do you have any old leads you want me to call? Hey, are you too busy? Do you need me to go do some showings for you? Hey, I know you have that thing in Garden Grove they want to go look at. I know you don't want to drive to Garden Grove, right? Like, so it was a lot of that to ingratiate myself to a point where these older, more successful agents were like, I trust you. Like, I mean, she's not on this call, but Nicole has done that with me. Like any overflow business I have, I give to Nicole because she's always standing right there. Hey, how can I help? I'm ready. Put me in, coach. Like, let's go. And because of that, like I've grown to a point of trust. And so I would say that's probably the thing that people miss the most is not using other agents in their market to get business from where you can co-list or be a showing assistant or who cares, right? Experience is experience.
Yeah, I know. Just to chime in on what my first listing was, because most agents will start with buyers. It's not necessarily the way you have to go. But my first listing came from a for sale by owner. It kind of made me fall in love with working with for sale by owners, and kind of working that lead source, because I know a lot of agents are afraid to make those calls and don't know what to say or all that stuff. So I know last week we talked about my approach. The other secondary approach that I talked about, clearly I didn't explain very well because it's not something I ever use. I always like the approach that Jon was talking about on that role play he did, of just setting a preview appointment and trying to see the property. And that's what I did. And I was able to list maybe 3 for sale by owners in my first year or two, just based on activity. And I just learned how to pick up the phone, make the calls, learn the script, and used it. Same thing with expireds. Expireds was another big lead source for me, and I still swear by expireds. So there's not a whole lot today, but they, they'll come back and they'll definitely be a great lead source for us as agents. But those are ways that we can really get listings easily, because those people have already raised their hand and said, I want to sell my house. So you can try all day long with people who may not want to sell their house, but these people already said they do. So if you can help them, you just connect the dots and make that happen.
And do it all, right? So like create a circular plan. So if it were me and I wanted, like, again, I already kind of went over how I would build a database, and I'm database driven and all that stuff. But if I was willing to do anything and I wanted to just build my business as fast as possible, I would pick one location. I would figure out what the boundaries of that location were. I would blot it out. I would call every for sale by owner within that boundary. I would call every expired within that boundary. I would call every old expired within that boundary. I would look at a way to get every free lead I could get off the internet for that boundary. I would run retargeting ads within that boundary. I would do I would door knock within that boundary. I would door knock across next door and across the street from every new listing. Every single day, a new listing will come on within that boundary. And every time a new listing comes on in that boundary, I would door knock the neighbors. Like, I would be obsessed with that boundary, from expireds, FSBOs, newly listed, circle prospecting, open houses. I would just do it all in one spot. And then that way, right, today, Mark, in that boundary, there's probably 1 expired or 0. There might be 0 for sale by owners, or 1 or 2 or 3, right? So you do a little bit of each category, but it's all in one geographic location. So the market knowledge and the compound effect is there. That way, if you take a listing, you probably have a buyer for that same spot, and you can start to play matchmaker, and the whole thing snowballs a lot faster if you do it that way. Helpful?
Thank you.
All right, let's hear some ahas. What'd you guys learn today?
Okay, so I'll start.
Okay, go.
Sorry.
Sorry, Blair. Just being consistent, just being intentional, and then be all in 100%.
Cool. Blair?
I think I learned that to partner up either with a lender early on or with any kind of other services like solar salesman or handyman from the beginning of your career. So that way you can form alliances and then you can refer each other business. So you save a lot of energy doing a lot of things only on your own.
Yep. Use your team. You always have a team, whether you think you do or not. Nobody succeeds alone.
Yeah, I'm gonna just piggyback on that. Those people on my team, Vicky's one of them, got introduced to my title rep, who I've used since 2007 when I was introduced to him, and he was girlfriend at the time, but now they're a team, a husband and wife team. It's the only title rep I've ever used, right? When you can create those relationships, they're going to follow you throughout your career, and they can be your key core advocates for your business, not only to help you with your business, but also a referral source. My team is also going to get introduced to my home inspector, who I reconnected with today on a home inspection, but have worked with since, again, 2007, when I was introduced to him by the same agent that introduced me to the title rep. And I've only not used him on one transaction because he was busy and I had to go to somebody else. But And he has been an amazing advocate for me and my business. Not only that, not only like helping me with referrals and that kind of thing, but he edifies me in front of my clients, right? It makes me look good. So if you're using a different person every single time that you have no relationship with, they're not going to do that. They're going to, if they do it, it's going to sound disingenuous. This guy will every single time talk how, you know, Mark's a professional. He knows what he's talking about. Listen to him, right? If somebody else says that to your client, you're in, right? You have that key relationship. So I'm going to continue to introduce my team to my core advocates that I've established relationships throughout the years, and hopefully they will work with them as well. If not, create your own core advocates, but you definitely have that team on your side, like Jon was talking about.
Yeah, 100%. All right, give me one more aha, one more thing you learned, and we will wrap it up.
Focus on a geographical location and really make that your specialty so that you can understand that area and know it and be able to put buyers with sellers.
Yeah. If you narrow it to a specific niche, so that can be geographic or a specific property type. It could be like condos, it could be mid-century modern, it could be anything. But if you can niche yourself down small enough, geography is the easiest way to do it. You'll learn at a much faster rate of pace. And that's really helpful when you're getting started. So you're not trying to learn everything. It's like,
right. And not, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Not only that, people want to work with a local area expert. Right?
Real estate.
So if
real
you
estate
can
is
intelligently speak about, yeah, 100%. If you can intelligently speak about a certain area, and we're talking about the stuff that most people wouldn't be able to find out on their own, right? I'm not talking about where the grocery store is or what school it is, but you know, who's the principal at that school, and you know, what's their education style, right? That is something nobody else is going to know, but if you do, based on the 3 or 4 schools that might be in your area that you work, and you potentially just go out and take a look at those schools and interview. It doesn't have to be on camera, but just have a conversation with the principals or some teachers at that school, so you can bring that information to your clients. You're golden, right? Like you start to look like the person who is that local area expert that they want to work with. So anything that you can find out that most people can't Google, right? You can be, you can shine in that area.
And
but trying to be everything to everyone is not going to work.
No, it won't. That'll never work. And if you want to juice all of that, just record everything on video and add it to YouTube and your Facebook and everywhere else. Because if you can do everything we just talked about geographically and niche based, and then create content and share the story and the video with what you're doing, that'll just create an exponential factor, because then you'll be the local expert on video. And what people see on video, we've been conditioned to believe that they are the authority. When I see you on YouTube, you are the expert. So if I become the guy, Ken Posick, right? Go look up Ken Posick, Disney Orlando. He is a celebrity when it comes to real estate in Orlando, Disneyland. He is the guy. So much so that he goes to Disneyland and people are like, "You're Ken Posick." And he's like, "Yes, I am," right? And so, but he's just a real estate agent. But he's a celebrity because of that. So throw in video for the X factor. All right, guys, this was fun. See you guys next week. Mark will send out the info if you email him. Bye.